Hello everyone, my name is Arya.
My name is Alice.
From Bach Studio. And today we are going to meet with Dr. Nattrass, who is the Chief Innovative Strategist at Lenovo, and Miss Snow White, who is the Director of Global Education Strategy at Intel.
So with that, let us give a warm welcome to Dr. Nattrass and Miss White.
Thank you. It is so good to be here with you both. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for making the time to meet with us today.
So, Dr. Nattrass, you are the Chief Innovation Strategist at Lenovo, and Miss White, you are the Director of Global Education Strategy at Intel. That sounds like a cool job. Can you guys explain what you do?
Sure. So I work at Lenovo, and Lenovo is a technology company focused on lots of different things, making computers and servers and focusing on things like storage and artificial intelligence. And my job is to really help support educators in using that technology to help make learning awesome.
Excellent. So what I do is, just as Tara was talking about how Lenovo makes computers, so all computers have chips in them, and so, but not potato chips, computer chips. And so we make sure that the Intel processor is put into the laptop so that it runs, and so it's kind of like the brain of the computer. And so the same thing is, we want to make sure that students and teachers have the best processing power whenever they're using technology, and so we put the Intel chip inside the Lenovo device.
So both of your company's missions are very similar?
In that we both work with education customers, yeah.
And really want the devices and tools to be used to help education really be meaningful, and for you all to be able to do authentic projects and have access to the tools that you need to be able to do that.
What role do you think technology and AI play in today's education, especially in regards to removing the equity gap?
So we can do things in education now that we couldn't do before because we have technology. So things like helping students, if you have learned something, you can move on to something else that is of interest, right? We talk about competency-based learning. So once you've mastered something, you can move on to the next thing. And that was harder to do before we had technology. Like, it used to be that in order to learn something, you would go into the classroom and teachers would have textbooks and they would provide you with the content and the knowledge that you need. Now, you can access content and knowledge from anywhere, anytime, right? And so it's changing the ways in which we're able to learn. We can learn from anytime, anywhere, which means everyone has access to content, to things now with AI, like tutoring tools. You can access things that maybe you couldn't before. So pulling information off of a website and maybe the reading level is too challenging for certain students, they can go in themselves and change it and be able to access that content. And so I think whereas before, in order to access learning, you had to go to school to do that. Now we can do it anywhere, and technology and AI are helping us be able to do that.
And to add on to what Dr. Nattrass was saying, is when you talked about equity, is that what's interesting though, AI is so new to a lot of educators. And so in some places we're seeing they're so scared of AI that it's actually widening our equity gap, because they turn off the technology. They're like, this is too scary for us, and so we don't want to deal with it. So what Tara and I are doing is, we're going to the school districts and telling them about the possibilities that technology and AI can bring to students and to teachers too, on some of the tasks that burns out teachers. Now AI can help offload some of that, so that they spend time teaching kids what they love and less time doing some of these tasks that kind of they don't love so much. And so it can widen our equity gap if we don't inform our schools about how great AI and technology can be.
Yeah, so what we're really thinking about is this idea of digital inclusion, where there is not only access to the devices in the internet, which is something we're still working on, right, for communities all over the globe, and then once we have that access to devices devices and the internet, how do we provide the access to the content, make sure it's meaningful content, make sure that people understand that artificial intelligence can have things like harmful bias in the outputs, and so how do we negate some of that? How do we make sure that that's not happening, and making sure that students and educators know and understand what's happening with AI, because it can support all of our learning, or as Snow said, it can make the digital divide even worse.
What advice would you give to young students like us who are literally growing up with technology and AI on how they can maximize the benefit it provides them?
I think a couple of things. I think one, your voice is really important in this conversation. There are a lot of adults, if we look around here, right, who are having conversations about AI, and I think you telling not only your stories, but also talking to all of your friends and your peers and asking, how are we using technology to help support learning? Like, what are you guys doing to do it? Because teachers and parents and community members need to know that. And then how do we tell those stories to others? Like, do you also have stories of some of your friends who maybe are in a school where they're not allowed to use AI, and you're in a school where you can use AI, and being able to say the difference in the learning now is shifted, right? And so if you're allowed to use AI, you're getting these experiences that other students can't. So if you all can say, we need to change that, like all kids need to have that access, that's something that I think will help everyone figure out how we live in this world, because none of us, you all are growing up with it, we didn't, right? We're all trying to figure out now how AI is going to influence, and your voice is going to matter a lot in that conversation.
And I would say, don't assume that grown-ups know everything about technology or AI. And so you might have to show your teacher or an adult on the great things that AI can do for you. And so I used to work with teachers that did bring in computers, because like, I don't know how to use a computer. I don't know what activity to bring in. I said, well, have you asked the students? And then they would go ask the students, and the students had brilliant ideas. And so I think if you can bring those brilliant ideas to the teachers, then they may be more open to adding more technology and more AI to their lessons, so that it creates a better experience.
The one other thing I would say is, as we're all using and learning and trying to figure out how to use AI in ways that are beneficial, that we need to continue to have conversations about what are the things humans are good at and what are the things AI is good at, so that you all know and understand that, and also know and understand when do we want to use AI, when does it make sense to do it, and when maybe is it not making sense to do it, and it might be better to go have a conversation with folks or go figure things out in another way, because we're all trying to figure out what is this going to look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, etc. And your opinions really matter as we're trying to work through it.
Thank you so much. I love having this exciting conversation with you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, this was fun.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us today in this conversation. So at our company, Bach Studio, we provide the access and application of complex research to the general public, so that everybody can benefit from these valuable research findings. And also, we hope that we can remove the equity gap in education, because we recently started giving seminars to these students in New York City public schools, where we encourage them that with technology, a growth mindset, and grit, that anybody can achieve their goals and become successful. And we invite you all to follow us and see what we are doing on all of our social medias at Bach Studio, and to also check out our website at www.bachstudio.com. And also feel free to take a QR code or a business card to help support us. Thank you again for joining us in this conversation. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much. Here, I'll
guys.
shake y'all's hand. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ariel. Thank
Thank you so much.